1 year ago, I read the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it made a great impact on my life. And actually, the very first video I made on this channel was about the lessons I learned from that book. But I thought it might be interesting to see how am I living now, a year later. Am I still using some of the advice I read in Atomic Habits, and how? So if you're interested, keep watching. Hi, it's Mariana. Welcome to my channel where I talk about productivity and productivity systems, reading and note-taking strategies, and different ways how you can achieve your goals. If you're new, consider subscribing. It has been a year since I read the book Atomic Habits, but there are a few things that I keep coming back to. Firstly, it is that I understand why some habits are easy for me and why with some habits I'm really struggling. The second thing is I tell myself very often, winners and losers have the same goals. Setting goals is important, no questions. You need to know where you're going. But many people set their goals, but only few of them really achieve them. And those people that achieve them are those people that understand how to create habits that are then going to support those goals. So they create routines, they shape their environment so that it supports their habits. And the third thing is, when I want to create a new habit, I keep asking myself, how can I make it as easy as possible? How can this habit be the first choice, the easy choice? When I read the book, my life was a chaos. My daughter was just 4 months old, and it was a time when I finally started to feel like myself. I started to think about what I want to do, how I can get my life back to normal and organize it. So it was a great time to read that book because, and I always talk about it on my channel, any change in your life, a big change, is a great opportunity to revisit your habits and introduce new habits, making sure that the habits you have are good habits, maybe getting rid of some of the habits. It's a great opportunity to do so. And James Clear talks a lot about an environment and how environment shapes your action. So I really am trying to think about the environment I'm creating for myself and for my family. So, for example, my husband and I, really pay attention to what we are eating. And instead of buying whatever there is and then being tempted every day here at home, we made the choice that we are going to buy only good things in a shop. So how we do it is we go to the shop once a week and we buy, good things, meat, eggs, oats, rice, fruit and veggies, and that's basically it. We don't really buy any processed food or sweets and treats, etc. We make the choice once a week to buy only good things. And then all the other days in the week, we have very easy choice because we can't really eat crappy food because there is nothing but good food in our house. One thing that I mentioned in the video I made a year ago was that I wanted to spend less time on social media. And I identified that the reason why this is happening, why I'm spending so much time on social media, is because there are times when it's just the easiest thing to do is to grab the phone and check social media. I know when I was breastfeeding, waiting for something, etc. So how I battled it was I had with me also my e-reader, so I could actually grab the e-reader and read a book. And if I wanted to reach out to my phone, what I did there was I put all the social media apps and the distraction apps into a folder kind of like far away, so I had to click a few times before I got to it. And as the main app that I had on my home screen, as the only app, was the app called Drops that I use for learning Russian, so that if I take the phone, the easiest choice is to click on that app and learn Russian instead of spending time on social media. So how does it look like now? Am I still spending a lot of time on social media? No. And the main reason is I have now a full-time job. I post 2 videos on YouTube every week. I train 10 hours a week of CrossFit, and I have a 1-year-old daughter. So I have quite a lot on my plate, and I simply don't have the time to spend on social media. But there are still times when I could be tempted. For example, on my commute, I'm sitting in a bus for 40 minutes. So that's a lot of time that I'm spending that I could be tempted to be on social media. So how I'm battling it? I just don't use mobile data. I don't have a plan that supports mobile data, so I need a Wi-Fi to actually access social media, and there is no Wi-Fi on the bus. So what am I doing else? I'm listening to an audiobook or to a podcast. Way better way of spending time in my opinion. In the video last year, I also talked about mastering entry points and how it is important for me to do a certain routine to have a productive day. Well, I've learned something over the last year, and it is actually mentioned also in the book, but you know, it always helps if you live through it yourself, and it is that if you do a certain behavior for certain amount of times, you no longer need a willpower or motivation to do that. It just becomes part of you. It becomes your identity. And that happened to me with several things. I can give you an example of exercising. A lot of people are surprised when they hear that I exercise 6 times a week for an hour or two. You know, I started exercising on December 3rd after taking a break after my daughter was born. And since then, I've exercised 6 times a week. I missed, I believe, 2 sessions because I was sick and 1 session because we went away for a trip. So 1 year of exercising and I missed 3 sessions. Do I have a crazy willpower or crazy external motivation? Like, no, it just is part of who I am. I am not, you know, talking to my husband like, oh, are we going to go today to CrossFit or not? Like, no, it's like the same way we don't discuss whether we are going to eat dinner tonight or not. We are just going to eat dinner, right? So we are also going to exercise today. I don't use any habit tracking. I don't put exercise clothes next to me so it's all ready. And, you know, I don't use any entry points. I don't need to. It would actually be a waste of time using a habit tracker. And the same goes for other things. You know, I talked about how I use certain routine to make sure that I am productive that day that I'm working on my YouTube channel. I don't need it anymore. Again, it would be a waste of time. This is now who I am. But I still consider entry point when I'm introducing new habits because it's such a great way to ensure that you actually do those habits regularly and that you repeat them enough of times so it can become your identity. So are there any habits that I'm struggling with? Oh yes, oh definitely yes. I don't want that this video would portray my life as something, you know, perfect. No, definitely not. There are habits I need to work on. One of the things I'm really disappointed in is my reading habit. It's something that, you know, I started really strong this year after I read the book and it was going really well, but I am no longer reading as much as I would like to. And the reason is, and again, it all comes back to the book, it's about the environment and the way how we create, you know, this support system for our habits. So what I did when I started introducing this reading habit was I attached it to an already existing strong habits. At that time, it was breastfeeding. I would be breastfeeding for hours on a day. So I was like, good idea is to read books, and it was a really good idea. You know, I got 2 or even 3 hours a day of reading, which was amazing. But now my daughter is way older and I breastfeed for a very short time in the morning and then in the evening. It's not even enough to open the book and, you know, get into it, so I don't do it. And now the reading habit is a standalone habit that doesn't have this support habit, this strong habits that it was attached to. So it just keeps being pushed away, especially as reading is quite a time-consuming activity. As I mentioned, I try to read or listen to audiobooks on my commute, but I work from the office on it twice a week, so that's not so much either. So this is definitely something that I need to work on, and I know that Atomic Habits, the book, has the tools. I just need to think about it a little bit more and see where can I find a good time to kind of put there this habit and do it. So what's next? That's a very good question. It's been 2 months since I started a full-time job, and that definitely spiced things up because not only that I'm trying to do everything I was doing before, but now I also have the full-time job that, you know, kind of takes a lot of time. So I am very conscious about my habits and I try to keep an eye on what's going on so that the good habits are not slipping away and I can like save it if I need to. And as our daughter is getting older, we also try to introduce good habits to her and good habits for us as a family so we can support her growth and, you know, learning, etc. And we want to make sure that those new habits become really part of our identity the same way as CrossFit is, because it's very, very easy to do those habits that are part of your identity, and it's quite challenging to manage new habits. There are a lot of great tools that Atomic Habits explains, but it's still way more challenging than just, having it as your own identity. So is my life better after reading Atomic Habits? I don't know. I was pretty organized and very productive before my daughter was born. So I don't know, maybe I would be in the same place even if I would not read Atomic Habits. But I believe I am now more in control of my life because I understand the psychology of habits and how to create them. And I think that I got back into being myself after reading the book Atomic Habits because I read it and because I understood how to use it. Thank you for watching. Let me know down below, have you read Atomic Habits, and if so, are you still using the lessons you learned from this book? Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new. I really would like to hit the 1,000 subscribers very soon, and you can help me with that. So please click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell so you get notified each time I post a new video. Thank you, and I will see you next time. Bye.